Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Bingeability show. We are excited.
We are excited.
Got a lot of cool stuff to cover today,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's
So, yeah.
101, 102 now, Martin.
So it is.
See, Martin yesterday pointed out that I am late a lot, but I am late physically, but Martin's always late digitally.
Yeah, I like to show up last minute.
Not late, but you usually turn up on time.
At 59.
Yeah, you make a coffee at 59 and you sit down and then you open Zoom and then Zoom breaks down for whatever reason. And then it's 1 minute past.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a big deal.
Today I was speaking to the gardener because the gardener's just shown up, which is perfect.
Yeah.
First time we never actually realised that when we have a daily show and a gardener,
they don't mix.
Problems might occur. Perhaps.
Yeah. So we've had to shut all the windows. It's not as hot as it was when we first launched, so that's fine. I'm not going to complain.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can't hear them. So
yeah, if you hear mowing, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so today we've got a really interesting episode with quite a few updates as well. Some really interesting updates. Everything seems to be happening so fast at the moment.
I know.
Everything's shifting very, very quickly.
We've got a daily show.
I know.
How would we get this information out?
Yeah, it's really good. Just for personal, work reasons, it's quite good that we have this. So yes. I think the first major thing that we wanted to talk about was Netflix and what Netflix is doing currently and what it's planning to do in the future. Now, if you've seen our previous episodes, you'll know that we've talked about how YouTube has overtaken Netflix as being the most watched for daily views. And Netflix have obviously not took kindly to that. So weirdly, they are now going to be integrating short form video content within Netflix. So they're saying between 3 and 20-minute videos, and they're working with brands like Cosmopolitan, The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Vogue. So it's very much going to be about travel, lifestyle, cooking, fashion, those kind of things to start off with. But it does feel like every single platform is just merging, and now it's just going to be one big YouTube, Instagram, book, Netflix merge.
It's so weird. It's honestly, you think Netflix were in their own game, you would think they'd be thinking about their platform, but they're just thinking about the fact that they've been overtaken by YouTube, which is insane. And now they're doing shorts. And this is what we're saying. Shorts on Instagram on the TV. That's what we were talking about last time.
Yeah.
And now Netflix have seen that probably, and they've been like, you know what, let's just put shorts on Netflix. And it's like, it's like going outside and seeing, next door neighbor buy a new table for or a new barbecue. And you think, you know what, I'm going to buy the exact same one. And then you've got that neighbor that just does everything that you do. And you're like,
I didn't know where that metaphor was going, to be honest. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're all just copying each other. So now there'll be it's going to be a great opportunity for anyone that invents something that, stands out a bit, because they are sort of all merging into one. For entrepreneurs, obviously, Netflix right now are doing deals with certain brands on these short form video content, but I can absolutely foresee, and it's already happened with someone like Mr. Beast, you get big on YouTube and then you get your own Amazon TV show. Actually, Netflix and Amazon kind of had to fight it out over that, which was quite interesting. But, eventually entrepreneurs, if you're watching and you're doing video content, you might have your own Netflix show one day, which would be really cool. That is, where something could potentially go, definitely.
Interestingly, mention Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, before Beast Games, he had meetings with all of the big streaming platforms.
And Beast Games is his show on Amazon, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Which is, it broke all the records. Like, it was absolutely insane. But he had the pick of the bunch. So he basically said, I'll speak to Netflix, I'll speak to Disney, I'll speak to Amazon. The reason that he didn't specifically work with Netflix and even Disney is because they wanted the final say over the creative. So Mr. Beast knows his audience better than anybody else and knows what works in terms of content consumption and retaining those viewers. knows more than the people on Netflix and the people on Disney. And it was Amazon Prime that said that they would give him the creative control because he knows his audience. And that's why he actually picked them to host the show. I always wondered why. Turns out that's why, because everybody else wanted to have their say and they wanted to take a little bit of control away from him to say, oh, no, you have to run everything by us. And he was like, no, I'll go with the people. Even if he didn't earn as much money as he could have done, he needed to maintain control of the creative.
I do like it when the creators of something maintain creative control. It's quite rare, isn't it? Because, you know, generally speaking, Netflix is going to be bigger than whoever they're doing a deal with. But yeah, with Mr. Beast, they were the ones that had to capitulate, or in this case, they didn't, and they went somewhere else. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. I think we'll find that things like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney will, for the first time ever, become accessible to people without a TV studio or without, you know, a massive budget. You know, if you've grown a massive audience on YouTube and you're creating content, there is that opportunity there if that's something that you want to do. So it's quite exciting. I think it's about making things more accessible to people, which is definitely something I'm quite pro.
I'll tell you what I'd really love to see, and this is not in any way, shape or form what I would normally recommend, but I would love to see real filmmakers, real experts in cinematic kind of shots, really intelligent creators be the ones that get first dibs at the shorts on Netflix. Because at the end of the day, you watch something like Breaking Bad, or you watch something phenomenal and exciting from a cinematic point of view, from a proper, authentic filmmaker's perspective. Wouldn't it be nice if they didn't just let big brands come in? You mentioned Cosmopolitan or these other big brands. I'm like, Hollywood you've got Reporter. Such a massive opportunity to treat really creative, artistic content creators and give them first dibs at Netflix. People that are potentially underrated, that I don't have the exposure yet. Why not open up a beta launch and say, these are we present you with films, big budget, cinematic kind of movies, TV series, all that kind of stuff. Why not just let some content creators take over the platform for a little bit?
Not even take over, but I agree. Netflix, we need give the smaller guys a shot. I think you know, some really good content creators who would absolutely jump for joy to be part of Netflix and get their content out there further and wider to the world. I can imagine people that do kind of YouTube, like cookery shows, even like that, but small creators. I think a place for small creators would be amazing. And that is something that YouTube does have, obviously, over Netflix, because right now, they're working with bigger companies, but hopefully that'll change in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for joining us. Hi, David. Good to see you here. And something very interesting and topical for you to cover today in terms of Google search and video. So we're excited to get into that.
Yeah.
And before we do, we also want to walk through the latest. Let me just share this.
Obviously, a pop-up comes
Love
up.
the pop-ups.
The pop-ups. So essentially something big is changing with Google Search Console. Now that sounds like an extremely boring sentence, but it's actually very exciting. So just bear with me. So Google Search Console is essentially a place where website owners have been able to find out, you know, stats and analytics. They've been able to understand what people are searching for on Google and how they found their web pages or web posts from it. For the first time ever, Google are now allowing you to connect your social media profiles to this giant analytics tool, essentially. So you can connect Instagram, X, I can't remember the other two, YouTube and TikTok. Instagram, X, YouTube, and TikTok. So those four, not yet LinkedIn, which was a bit disappointing. And you can connect those to Google Search Console. So what that means is you get a really good idea, or in theory, in the future, you will get a really good idea what people are typing into Google and how your content on those social media platforms turns up. Does it turn up on the 20th page, 20th space? Where does it turn up? What are people searching for in order to find your content? How could you maybe optimize a video so you increase your potential of having a higher search engine placement? So it's actually incredibly exciting, especially as we come from an SEO background, don't we? So this is
just like David.
just like David. So yeah, I think it's an incredibly exciting one. They are rolling it out, so it's not available for most people yet. But I'm sure as time goes on, it will become more accessible to everyone.
One of the things that I've always, and we've started to see this now, is that video traditionally has been difficult for search engines and bots to read because
it's a video.
It's a video. It's the same as images. And I remember optimizing our website for images with alt text and file names.
And you would tell me off if I didn't reduce the image size. You've not reduced the image size. I have to go on and reduce the image size and then upload it to the website. I remember.
But there's only a few things that you could have ever done with a image or a video. But now what we're saying is that search engines understand that people are consuming video like no other time in history. It's just more video, more. It's incredibly powerful as a tool to get sales, but it's also an incredibly powerful tool to get views and to get eyeballs and attention, especially with the amount of short form content being published every day. I think it's 500 billion pieces of content every single day across the social platforms, across all of the platforms. So how can Google solely rely on content in written form? They can't. Even if they are trying to, pull for AI search results, relying solely on text and schema and all of the other things that are related to a website, when the world is powered, or the internet's powered by video, it's consumed more and more every single day. So they had to do this. It's just, and we know that they are doing this because for years you've been able to do a Google search and a YouTube video will pop up. But now what we're saying is that you can actually plug in your social media accounts to Google Search Console. So not only is it going to get displayed to users, but you'll be able to track more information about how they interact with that content and so forth.
You'll be able to track, how many clicks it might get, or what people have searched for in order to actually find your video. This is all going to be incredibly valuable data, because the more you understand about how people are finding your video content, the more kind of an idea you have of what video content you need to create, or how to optimize your maybe old videos in order to increase their chances of getting featured in Google search results. So it's quite exciting, but there's going to be ways, I think, that you're going to be able to optimize a video for search. And I think that when we were giving people advice on this like 10 years ago, it was always what's best for the user is also best for Google. And is that the same with video? Is what's best for the user also best for optimizing it for search results?
This is where it gets super interesting, because if you are trying to optimize a video and you create a video and you go and post it on Instagram, or you post it on YouTube as a long form, or you post it as a short form, we recommend different best practices for different platforms and different formats. So a long form is different from a short form. So if this is going to happen, and if Google and the AI is going to lean heavily on things like the title of the video and the description and the words that you say, it's going to dramatically impact how we create videos. Because typically the first words of a video might be a hook, and it might be more of a conversational hook, like an on-ramp. It might not be, here are the keywords that I want to rank for. Like it would be with a blog post and a title and maybe the opening paragraph of a blog. So we might have to check, depending on how much traffic Google is likely to give us versus these other platforms. It's going to be an interesting one. I would expect the title of the video is going to have to be more specific. That means that you can't be vague and ambiguous when presenting a video idea. You're going to have to be ultra specific. So as an example, if it was something about the best lighting setup for your podcast studio, but the actual keywords that people search for are likely to include podcast studio lighting, if the video had something a little bit more ambiguous, such as, I wish I'd have known this before starting my podcast studio, then presumably it's not as keyword friendly, less likely to show up in search, less likely for Google to be able to crawl it. So I'm still unsure about how they're going to review videos going forward. But we already know that they're showing up. We already know that Google Gemini specifically are heavily leaning into YouTube Shorts. They're getting a lot of that content. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think that and I still actually agree that actually your latter one, the video title, like how to the best way to set up the lighting in a podcast studio is probably better than I wish I'd have known this sometimes, because certainly for a long form, because it's telling the user exactly what that video is going to be about. So I do think there's going to be an element of that, but anything essentially written around your video, the caption, the title, anything around it, and it depends obviously on different platforms that you use on what kind of writing goes around it, but optimizing that, it's going to be incredibly important as well, making sure that it's very clear what the video is about.
The other side of this is we know full well Google is YouTube and YouTube is Google. It's owned by the same people. So we've got a situation whereby we can see from YouTube the amount of people actively searching for keywords and videos using tools, a variety of different tools. But I know from looking at analytics dashboards inside of YouTube that a majority of the searches that come via search are so small. Less than 10% of video views are as a result of a search in most cases. This means people are relying on the personalization on YouTube. So it's going to be interesting. So it might not change for a majority of the YouTube creators, but it might change if someone's searching on Google, the website itself, and they're looking for an answer to a question.
Yeah.
So are we saying that when something is searchable, like best lighting for podcast studio or best microphone or whatever, for those kind of videos, we would want to be as honest and transparent and like keyword friendly and keyword rich as possible, but not necessarily for something else, a different kind of content, for instance, if it's a little bit more of a mindset shift or something else.
Yeah.
Depending on the buyer's understanding and their level, you might have to, rely on your best guess and best experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's creating that different kind of content for where, like you said, a buyer is along their journey. Some of it is just about raising awareness and building your profile, and that you don't want to particularly focus on optimizing for search for. You're going to be creating shorts, and it's going to be getting attention through people swiping through. But then you've got content where it's like, well, do you want to buy this camera versus this camera, or whatever it might be? And that is something that people would put into Google. They would put it into ChatGPT or Claude, where they're a little bit more aware of what they need, and you need to create that content to try and get in front of them. So the platforms have changed, but the actual principles have remained relatively the same. So creating that kind of content, and we like to call it objection-led content, creating that sort of content about your products and services specifically, and helping people make that buying decision is incredibly important. And I think even more so now, because I think we're pulling away from that a little bit. We're focusing more on awareness and gaining attention, when actually the things that lead to leads and sales are going to be that more specific.
I mean, plenty
content.
of people make buying decisions based on watching short form video, especially if it's a low cost product.
If it's a low cost product, yeah. But
especially
I think
for e-commerce, because they rely heavily on Google Analytics and tracking and all that kind of stuff. So it depends.
It really depends. For B2B, I would say obviously it takes longer, and you still need that more of that content that gives people more customer service, really. So for example, at Vidonary, we're producing a lot of content that helps people make a buying decision, and that kind of content is very transparent. As we've said before, we're quite transparent in our content. So we'll be doing things like Descript versus Vidonary, which one should you choose? And it will be very honest in it. Descript is great for this, and Vidonary is great for that. And And it won't be from a place of, oh, just choose Vidonary. So we'll be creating all that kind of content that really helps people make that buying decision, and being quite upfront about it, I think.
Yeah. And it also makes it easier if we did want to take that video content and create blog posts with it as well, because some people still search. We've got more chance of showing up in search results if we have a video, we embed it in a blog post, we write a full article, we optimize the title of that video, that blog post, we link to it from social media. Like, you're able to think and plan in a smart way so that you win from multiple angles. But it all comes down to, as far as we're concerned, when you create the video first, it makes everything else easier. And you're just going to get more data, more access to know, okay, how many videos did they consume before they purchased a product? As long as you've got all your right tracking on Google Analytics set up. And you'll be able to see which platforms are generating leads and sales off the back of it as well, because you might be getting tons of views on TikTok, but it's actually quite difficult to get someone to click off TikTok. Whereas with something like LinkedIn or Facebook, as an example, it's much easier. Same as a YouTube long form. So you will be able to get a very clear picture of how your video is performing, but not only from an impressions point of view, how many people are visiting your website, how many people are opting in for your lead magnets, how many people are buying your products. That's what I'm so interested to find out.
Everything's just got a little bit messier, I think. What used to be a very simple process where you went to Google and you typed something in and then you found a website that did what you wanted to do and then you bought, now is a lot more complicated. Now it's more of a case of people are going on Google and then they're seeing you on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on all these kind of places, and it's all kind of meshed a little bit, hasn't it? So I think that, everything will lead to the same place, which is your business and selling. But we need to be on these various different platforms because it's not as easy anymore. You can't just be on Google and expect just for people to search you and find you. It's much better, and we know from our clients that they get customers from LinkedIn, they get customers Instagram, YouTube, Google search. They get customers from all of these different platforms because we track everything. It's not just one. So I think just varying that up is going to be a challenge for marketers, but there's also a big opportunity there where you can get more customers from new places.
It does mean that you'll have to be a little bit more detail orientated with your video descriptions. Things like the Bingeability show, at the moment, because it happens every day, we probably could expand what we're doing in the video description. We could be a little bit more specific about the titles, maybe the thumbnails. We could optimize it more. We could have a little bit more of a process.
We definitely need to take the transcripts and basically reword it. That is something that we definitely need to do, so that it, if any AI are searching, they can read it properly. Probably put it on our website as well.
As a blog?
Repurpose
it into multiple
things. And actually make it so that it makes sense, unlike a transcript, which can be quite messy to read. So we need to be doing all of that, and everyone needs to be thinking about that. But the good thing about having something like this, like a Bingeability show, is that it's the foundation of all the other content. And that's what makes it so much easier, isn't it?
Yeah, but it has made us reconsider how we're creating video content, because one of the things that obviously we talk about all the time is create content. We help clients, we create content for our clients, but we have been, at least for the past 12 months since we've been building Vidonary, a little bit crap at ourselves publishing content, just because we're so focused on getting our users and our clients to create content that we've been less consistent. And that means that, we're needing to get involved as well. It's no good as just being the teachers and the educators. That's why we've launched the Bingeability show. That's why even just this week, I don't particularly like the platform, but I'm putting some content on TikTok and Instagram. And I think it just makes sense to fill your profiles a little bit just to edge your bets, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So we're going to be creating more, as I said, more objection-led content as well. And I just wanted to briefly talk about that because I think it's so important. It's something that people miss quite often. But essentially that is video content, or it could be text-based content that tackles an objection that would come up on a sales call. And the reason why you should do this in content rather than on a sales call is that generally on sales calls, people don't tell you the real reason why they're not buying. They don't say, look, you're more expensive than this company, so why would I choose you? Particularly British people wouldn't generally don't say that. They're too polite. So you have to tackle their objections even without them saying what those objections are. So for example, for Vidonary, I'm going to do a video this week that says why we don't offer a free trial. Now, I know that's an objection because a few people have emailed about it and saying, if you offered a free trial, I would sign up. And there are perfectly valid reasons why we don't offer a free trial. So I'm going to create content around that in order to explain why we don't do this, in order to get it across in a way that people understand and build that trust. So think about what are the objections that people have of working with you and create content around that if you can.
Yeah, you may have heard of a guy called Sheridan, and he was the first person that spoke to me about what we call an 80% video. So he said all businesses should create one video that they call the 80% video. 80% video means that 80% of the questions that get asked are the same questions that everybody asks. Maybe there's an extra 20% of questions that's like, oh, how does it relate to me and my niche? But most of the questions that we get asked through our customer support desk, whether it's through Vidonary or Jammy or any of the other businesses, most of the questions are the same. So it makes sense to write down the most common questions that you get asked, sit there and answer them in one video. You can then send that video to anybody who's considering working with you to tackle those objections, because a lot of the questions that people ask are objections secretly. And then you can cut those into shorts as well, or like Lyndsay, just dedicated video to answer every single question and publish that on YouTube or online or whatever. But it's a really effective thing to do. And I think every now and again, when I find myself answering these questions, tackling these objections on calls, sometimes I think, wait, this is my fault because I've not created content in order to prevent these questions from coming up. So it makes a great asset that you can send to people whenever somebody's got questions about working with you.
And it means when you're on sales calls, then the people that come onto your sales calls are already kind of sold on you anyway. And they've already consumed all that content and done that research. So they know everything that you're about. And what we found is when we started creating this kind of content, our sales calls went from an hour to like 11 minutes because someone was just like, yeah, I know all this. I just have one very specific question. So the more content that you create around your objections, the more transparent you are about how much you charge, your prices, everything like that, it all helps to build that trust, to help ranking, because the more that you're open with that information, when someone puts into AI what's the cheapest or what's the best software, how much does that software cost, or how much does this cost, if you're the only one talking about that, then you're much more likely to be featured. So it has so many benefits to doing it, rather than the downside is, you might put someone off working with you. Well, if you're going to put someone off with your prices, they're probably going to be put off anyway, but at least you haven't spent an hour on a sales call with them. So we've always found that creating very transparent content has been the best way to make sales.
Especially with AI now, because when people are searching for answers to questions, AI is giving them access to information that they've got. And if you are publishing content and you are publishing videos, Google are actively showing that AI snippet. So if you are the one to answer those questions, to tackle those objections that you need to be doing anyway, then you're going to win on multiple platforms. You can repurpose those videos, you can give them to the support team. The more content we create to assist our customers helps our support team, helps our salespeople, helps AI. Like, it's too important now, isn't it? But we are in that brief window of time, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but when more people start producing video, it's not like 500 billion a day, but
are you sure 500 billion?
It's 500 billion of, I think, views. I'm not sure if it was YouTube alone crazy. Was like 200, I believe, and Instagram was more. So it's incredible. So yeah, I mean, the reality is we are publishing more videos and we are viewing more videos than ever before, but there's still a gap before people. And Google have only just done this. They've only just announced this, where they are starting to look at the data and the resources that are coming off the back of these social platforms.
There is still a gap, but there's still a massive gap, I think, with the kind of content that people are producing. People aren't producing honest, transparent content produced by experts. They're producing entertaining content, and that's fine. But if you're gonna be standing out and having all these benefits like Martin talked about, then produce the content that no one else is producing. And often what no one else is producing is the stuff that nobody wants to say, which is, yeah, this is why I'm more expensive than someone else, or this is how much we charge, or this is why we don't offer you a free trial. Say the stuff that no one else will say, and you'll build loads of trust. It's the best way. Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Amazing. So what's the hook of the day?
Hook of the day. Hot take, industry belief, so that's in brackets, is holding you back.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So hot take,
yeah,
recording professional videos is holding you back.
Yeah.
As an example. Or a hot take, posting on TikTok too much is damaging your business.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Or hot take, creating proposals is actually damaging your sales. Something, and very similar to kind of yesterday's hook, where it's contradictory, something that goes against the grain. The more kind of content you can create that really goes against people's beliefs and changes their mindset on something is more memorable. Nice. I don't remember individual pieces of content necessarily, but I do remember the times when people have changed my mind on something. If you can change someone's mind on something, then you will be memorable. Like Martin said, Marcus Sheridan was one of them. There is no way. I remember you coming to me and saying, we're going to write an article about why we're so expensive. And I was like, are you absolutely insane? What is wrong with you? And you wrote it, and it proved me wrong. My mindset was changed, and I read his book. But my mindset shifted. And I remember that more than any other piece of content that you're given, entertaining content or whatever. If you can change someone's mind on something, they will remember you much more, and they'll trust you a lot more as well. Absolutely.
Fantastic. So we'll see you same time, same place tomorrow on the Bingeability Show. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks so much for watching the replay. Have a great rest of your day.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.